So, what's a business for? I mean, it sounds like a really simple question, right? But the way we choose to answer it, well, that has massive implications for our society, for our planet, for pretty much everything. So, today, let's really dig into the stories we tell ourselves about the whole purpose of business.
It's a really fundamental question when you think about it. Is a business just there to make money, or is there something more to it? Because the story we settle on, that's what shapes everything from the jobs we have to the communities we live in. For a long, long time, the dominant story, the one we're usually told, is that the market is like a machine. You can picture it, right? A perfect, self-regulating piece of clockwork that just ticks along on its own set of rules, completely independent of the rest of the world. Now, this whole machine view is built on a few core ideas. First, it assumes that we're all perfectly rational, self-interested people, just constantly hunting for the best deal. It also assumes that whatever the market produces is inherently fair, that it's objective, and that the economy just kind of operates in its own little bubble, totally separate from culture or politics. So if you believe all that, then any kind of regulation is just a wrench in the gears, messing up a perfect system. And this quote just nails that idea perfectly. The machine metaphor suggests the economy just happens, kind of like a law of physics. It finds its own natural balance all by itself. And what that does is it removes human intention and human responsibility from the entire equation. But what happens when that clean, perfect mechanical model starts to show some pretty serious cracks? Well, when we look a little closer, we find that this story leaves a lot of really important things out of the picture. For starters, the machine doesn't account for its own pollution. All these critical costs, like using up our natural resources or pumping carbon into the atmosphere, they get labeled as externalities. It's a fancy way of saying they're someone else's problem. They're completely invisible to the machine's accounting, but they are very, very real to us and to the planet. And the whole idea that the market is neutral, well, that doesn't really hold up to scrutiny either. When you let it run without any rules or oversight, markets can actually amplify the power imbalances that already exist. They can concentrate wealth and opportunity into the hands of a few and just make social inequality even worse. So here's the most crucial point. Markets are not natural forces like gravity or the weather. They're human constructions. We built them. They're built on a foundation of laws, property rights, contracts, and probably most important of all, trust. These are all things that we as a society create and agree to maintain. Okay, so if the market isn't a machine, what is it? Well, there's an alternative way of looking at it that's really gaining ground. Thinking of the market as a living system, something that's dynamic, interconnected, and deeply embedded within the wider world. This comparison really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? Instead of that neutral, automatic machine, the living system view sees the market as something that is shaped by our values. It shifts how we see ourselves too, from being just isolated, self-interested individuals to being interdependent, moral people. I mean, the differences here are just profound. This living system view says the market is embedded in our world in three key ways. The first is ethically. It sounds complex, but it's a simple, powerful idea. The economy runs on trust. Every time you buy something online or sign a contract, you are relying on a shared moral fabric of fairness. These things aren't just optional extras. They are the absolute bedrock of every single transaction. Next, the market is embedded in our culture. Just think about how much our attitudes have changed about things like sustainability or the need for flexible work. Those aren't economic laws. They're cultural shifts that completely reshape what we value and how we expect businesses to act. Our culture basically sets the unwritten rules of the game. And finally, and this one is maybe the most important of all, there's ecological embeddedness. This is the non-negotiable reality that our entire economy is a subsystem of the Earth's ecosystem. It's not the other way around. It depends completely on nature for every resource, for all its energy, and for a place to put all its waste. There's just no way around that. So why does this shift in perspective from a machine to a living system actually matter? Well, it changes everything. Because if we finally accept that our economic systems are human-made, it means we aren't just helpless cogs in a machine we can't control. We are the designers. We are the architects. And that means we have the power and the responsibility to redesign them to create much, much better outcomes. This lets us completely reframe what success even means. Instead of just chasing endless GDP growth, we can start aiming for goals that actually matter for people. Things like improving our quality of life, strengthen our communities,
and building an economy that can actually thrive within the real limits of our planet.
And that brings us to a final thought. If markets really are our own creations and not some unchangeable force of nature, then every single one of us has a role to play in shaping them. It leaves us with a really powerful question to think about. Where would you start?